So as I mentioned, I guess every call when I suggested that we were going to have a Q&A session for the seventh call, the Q&A session we traditionally do is not your typical Q&A because it's not where you immediately ask questions and get the answers. Instead, we have asked you to send in your questions to the ritual@Riman email through which we could work on not only collaborative answers with HQ, but more robust answers with utilizing various points of research. And this is something I practice generally in my monitoring of the ritual inbox. If you send in questions on any other day, is I want the chance to give you an answer that not only satisfies your curiosity, but has perhaps resources that you can refer to or studies that you may reference. And so with that in mind, that actually brings me to our first question, and I'll say a little bit more about why that connects. And so our very first question is from Luis Saldanja. I apologize if I said that incorrectly, but it's glycols. Why do we use them and are they safe? And so in specifically ingredient questions that I receive, and especially on the platform of safety, I typically avoid them in larger calls or in, tradition meets innovation calls, not because I don't want to answer them, but because I want to first educate myself on that ingredient if I'm not familiar, but then also have that ability to converse with you, to share those research points that I had mentioned, because oftentimes the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. To see that research or to see the percentages and concentrations of safety really add to the value of a specific ingredient. In my selection of this ingredient specifically, glycols, which include butylene, ethylene, propylene, glycol, I touted glycols as an ingredient we proudly include when we discussed the various ingredients in our session 3 on skin physiology. And so in having this question, I do receive it a lot. And many people are, of course, satisfied with the answer they receive in email response, but I wanted to bring it up for a larger discussion. And so with the curiosity behind glycols, many glycols are applied in our products for various reasons. They're actually the reason that the water treatment or conditioner specifically heats up when it comes in contact with water. Specifically, the dissolution of the glycols in formulation is an exothermic reaction, which is what releases that heat. So that's a fun fact. But otherwise, glycols are standard humectants. And if you'll remember, humectants are hydrating ingredients that attract water to the skin and also organize it throughout the layers of the skin. But they also even have absorption properties where they enhance the absorption of ingredients, and they can even have preservative benefits of boosting preservative systems. With that all in mind and why we are applying them in our products, there are some websites or opinion pieces that state that even propylene glycol or ethylene glycol, for example, is actually just industrial antifreeze, or that it's a strong skin sensitizer. And they'll reference MSDS or material safety data sheets and say, here, look, it says avoid skin contact. The important thing to note in this regard is that there are different types of glycols for different application. Cosmetic glycols are not the same as what is used in industrial settings. And so the Cosmetic Ingredient Review Board, or CIR panel, actually reviewed the toxicology of glycols and found that they're entirely safe at concentrations of up to 73% in leave-on applications, and even higher in concentrations for those that are wash-off systems. But furthermore, they found that in that safety, there is no potential for skin irritation rather. And many other dermatologists have claimed that propylene glycol, ethylene, and butylene are chemically inert or chemically inactive. And so there's no reason to avoid them in beauty care products. Besides the, somewhat erroneous correlation between glycols and antifreeze. There's also the expectation or belief that because these glycols come from petroleum, that petroleum is industrial grade petroleum, which is inherently toxic to the skin. And so the other differentiator here is that cosmetic grade petroleum or petrolatum isn't the same as commercial petroleum. So both the raw material utilized to create this ingredient and the ingredient itself is specialized entirely for skin application, and many board certified dermatologists and the Cosmetic Ingredient Review have found them entirely safe to utilize at extremely high concentrations. So Luis, I hope that helped you in the answer, and for any of you that want the research that goes behind this, feel free to email me at the ritual email and I'll send you various blogs or various studies that will back that statement. But let's move on. Our second question was a fantastic question. So the question was, what is the benefit to using Deep Talk over pure psyllium husk? And this is a fantastic question because there are so many different supplements you can choose, and pure psyllium husk in powder form is probably quite readily available. You could get it at any Whole Foods market. But there's multiple reasons for why we recommend taking Deep Talk. And it's not only because of the product's positioning and how we've perceived it as a supplement to your skin health, but it's the other ingredients in formulation. So we always talk about the psyllium. We also mention the zinc, but there are so many other ingredients in Deep Talk's formulation that are beneficial to the human body. There's aloe vera, ginger, glucomannan, which is another water-soluble dietary fiber, and even shashandra for liver support. And so the combination of all these various ingredients with the fiber is allowing for the supplement to be so much more than simply a fiber supplement. The second prong to the argument is that, of course, Deep Talk is in those compact pellet forms. So many companies who use psyllium husk traditionally with something like Metamucil, or if you were even to buy psyllium husk as a raw material, it comes in a powder and it creates a gel in solubilization with water. But in our utilization of those compact pellets, those pellets never truly dissolve. They'll travel through the entirety of your system in that pellet form. But as they come into your intestines, they begin to absorb the intestinal water, gathering, of course, fecal matter. But in that, they maintain this variety of shape through the intestines, which allows it to really perform as kind of almost a broom for your intestines. It allows for the more solidified travel of various wastes through the system because they have conglomerated around that psyllium husk pellet. So it's specifically the utilization of the pellet that not only allows for this ingredient to really have a profound effect within the intestines, but it also allows to have that maintenance of satiety, nutrient absorption, all because the pellets act differently than solubilized powders specifically. All right. All right, so question 3 is from Leisha Marshall, and she asked, what are the benefits of taking Riman collagen over other types? And I wanted to mention that for many of the emails we did receive, we had repeat emailers, we had emails with a million different questions. And so if you do not see your question answered during this call, please know that it was not purposefully avoided. I just chose questions that were often asked or really relevant to your connection with the products. And so in the next couple of days, I'm going to go back to those emails and answer them more in depth for any question that was not addressed. But Lisa was one of those people that sent fantastic questions, and this was one of them that I had selected. And so, as I had also mentioned in our session 5 call, or maybe it was no, session 5, there are so many different collagen products on the market, and it's difficult to choose one. And because with the variety that comes with these collagen supplements, there's also a variety of different types of collagen in those supplements, different sources of collagen in those supplements, and ultimately it has to rest on what your main goals are in consuming collagen. As Riman started as a skincare brand, our collagen is focused within the support of your skin, but from within. We chose to prioritize type 1 collagen specifically because, as I had mentioned, it is the most abundant type of collagen in the body. It makes up roughly 90% of your collagen stores and roughly 80 to 85% of the volume of your dermis specifically. And alongside elastin, hyaluronic acid, all of those other nutrients that make up your extracellular matrix, it is crucial in skin support and allowing for that youthful appearance to your skin. As we age, however, collagen production naturally declines. And as early as 30 years old, you begin kind of reducing your production of collagen and even can be losing collagen more readily based on your daily habits, UV overexposure, pollution exposure, etc. But roughly the production decline is 1 to 2% a year starting as early as 30 years old. So in our acknowledgement of the importance of skin health and in our journey towards helping you achieve more youthful skin, it was important that we prioritized type 1 collagen specifically for our collagen supplement. And then beyond that, the specific collagen that we chose for inclusion is not only award winning, it won the JR52 award for technological innovation, but it is successful in application for the skin at just 2 grams of supplementation. So many other types of collagen, you'll need a lot more of it to have some benefit for the body. Versus ours, we found efficacy at 2 grams of daily oral consumption. And so that's some of the qualities for the collagen itself. But then the third prong to this answer is very similar to the answer I gave previous, that there are so many other things in the formula alongside the collagen. We have that biotin, the hyaluronic acid, selenium, and glutathione for antioxidant care, giant young pool, and there's a variety of other ingredients that we didn't even mention. And so it's this well-rounded approach to skin health from within by based on what you are consuming orally. And so our collagen supplement not only allows you to supplement collagen, but it still allows you to address various other prongs of genuine skin health and genuine body health via the antioxidants or via the hyaluronic acid for hydration. All right. All right, and so Lisa asked a second question. She said, what will our skincare line do that no other product can? And I love this question because a lot of people, when they're trying to decide if they want to follow Riman, if they want to commit to Riman, there is a lot of comparison to be had because as much as the supplement market is saturated, so too is personal care. And even in the K-beauty realm specifically, I'll often get asked, how is Riman different than X, Y, and Z brand? And I always say then that it's asking me to compare apples and oranges. You know, yes, they're both fruits, but they have their unique appearances, their unique molecular makeup, their unique benefits to the body and their vitamins and minerals, whatever it may be, but they're different beyond both being fruits. And so I always mention this because I was taught in my previous job never to naysay another brand because they're doing their own thing, they have their own science, their own technology. But I always also say there's simply nothing like Riman. Because of our commitment to that Riman difference, we look for exclusivity wherever possible. And a large part of our innovation is within collaboration with you, our field. Our products were not just made for you, they were made with you. But all that to say, in the specific frame of this question, she said, what can our products do that no other product can? And so I want to say it's not what we do, it's how we do it. So many benefits for skincare are going to be similar across various skincare lines. Hyperpigmentation reduction, hydration, moisturization, fine lines and wrinkles, all of that, we're all looking for various similar aesthetic goals, but it's how those goals are met and how the ingredients and formulations are brought to fruition that allows for a line to differentiate itself. And that's how Rimmon stands out. So it's our approach in not only gentle formulation, but proactive protection and prevention of the skin. We are working with the health of the skin instead of against its issues, such that those issues don't occur to begin with. And that, of course, means prioritizing those gentler ingredients. Many brands, of course, will offer those quick fixes, but often at the detriment to your skin. And now, in our proactive approach, that's still very similar to many other brands. So, beyond that, it's how we incorporate specific technologies and exclusive ingredients. At this time, I believe we have 16 different patented ingredients included across our entire product offerings. We also, of course, have a variety of unique technologies, the incelsomes in the dermatology booster serum and cream, the nanoliposomes produced by the microfluidizer, allowing for a 100% nanoliposomal formula. It is these things that create the Rimmon difference that you can perceive on your skin, and that is something you cannot see with another skincare brand. Of course, in the more minute details of a formulation, specific ingredients beyond even the patented complexes, but our giant byung pool, the Jeju lava energy water, things that are key to our Rimmon story, all allow us to differentiate ourselves and to create perhaps a similar difference that you're wanting to achieve with another skincare brand, but in such a different light and in such a different degree of maximization of your skincare. So while a skincare brand might do X, Y, and Z, we do X, Y, and Z times 10, and we do it differently for these reasons, if that makes sense. So that was a kind of turnaround way to answer that, but I hope that did clarify that it's not what we do, it's how we do it with Rimmon. All right, our question 5 is what are ingredients in the multi-stick balm that benefit the under eye area? And so this is a fantastic question because again, I am often asked if we have an eye care product. And by no means is the possibility of a specific eye care product impossible, but realistically, there are a variety of products that are currently present that you can easily utilize to nourish the under eye. And this question comes from Joni B. But specifically with the multi-stick balm, this is often recommended to apply underneath the eyes or on the high points of your body, your collarbones, your cheekbones, or even just drier areas like your chapped lips. But specific to your under eye area, there's a variety of ingredients. There's licorice root extract, which is a fantastic ingredient and one I worked with often when I was a cosmetic chemist because it has an immediate brightening effect. So this is something that'll give you that immediacy that we always desire as consumers within society. Beyond that, we have niacinamide or vitamin B3 that is a brightening antioxidant. We also have sea berry, which is rich in vitamin C and vitamin E, themselves also antioxidants. Hyaluronic acid for hydration of the under eyes, and adenosine is another fantastic ingredient. So adenosine has shown to potentially stimulate collagen production while also having soothing effects. And so that's really important for the under eye area as that skin is not only thinner, but it's more fragile. And so you want to be hydrating it, you want to be protecting it while also brightening it. But then having something like adenosine supports the natural maintenance of that skin as well. And so outside of the multi-stick balm in terms of under eye application, you can also always utilize either cream from either line, the Radiant Sun 100 cream or the Dermatology cream. Use your ring finger and lightly dab product into the under eye as well if for whatever reason you do not want to use the multi-stick balm or perhaps do not have it. So there are multiple different options for you for your under eye, but that is specifically how the multi-stick balm may benefit that area on your face. All right, so we have just a few more questions after this. As I mentioned, this is traditionally a quicker call so y'all can get back to your night wherever you are, but I hope this has been helpful so far. But the sixth question is, what is the suggested routine for hyperpigmentation and can it reduce melasma? And this came from an email monitored by Eve and Ariana Fabros, so thank you for your question. This is a fantastic question because hyperpigmentation is one of the key concerns, and not only those that perhaps were initially acne prone and now have dark spots, but for those that are concerned with aging specifically, as of course, aging can be signs or can be shown through hyperpigmentation of the skin and dark spot formation. Many of our products and many of the ingredients in those products are intended to address the general issue of hyperpigmentation or dark spots. There are many different ingredients that allow for a brightening of the skin or antioxidant care to reduce the potential for those melanin deposits to persist within the skin. That being said, for melasma specifically, it is a beast in its own right. And so I always make that disclaimer. Many dermatologists do find that the best treatments for melasma are more aggressive forms of treatment, things like hydroquinone or tretinoin. And so absolutely, we invite individuals to try out our products as a gentler way to approach their melasma or hyperpigmentation. But ultimately, I also suggest you be open to a doctor or medical professional's advice because it might be that you need that intensity to reduce a more intense form of hyperpigmentation. That being said, it really connects to the discussion we had in comparison that doesn't sound right. Comparing, there we go. Comparing the Radiant Sun 100 line to the dermatology line. If an individual has sensitive skin, they're going to be restricted to the dermatology line, but that does by no means mean that they cannot have some reduction in hyperpigmentation. In our giant byung pool specifically, that has shown a robust improvement in reducing hyperpigmentation because of its antioxidant potential. Specifically, it has 81% more antioxidants than standard Byung Pool. And so that's going to be really great for reducing hyperpigmentation. But then we also have industry standards such as niacinamide. We have NMN, which has also shown to reduce hyperpigmentation via those studies I had mentioned with the American Academy of Dermatology. But then you also have sea berry water, vitamin C, vitamin E. So there are many different antioxidants and key components within the dermatology line that would address hyperpigmentation. That being said, if an individual doesn't have sensitive skin and their key focus is hyperpigmentation, I do tend to recommend the Radiant Sun 100 line. The reason I will recommend that for the most part, of course, is the nanoliposomes. Those liposomes can bring ingredients to the melanocytes or to the melanin deposits within the skin, but the key ingredients within the Radiant Sun routine are all in general geared towards either reducing the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles or reducing hyperpigmentation. The Vita complex, RK snowflake, even the tocopherol in the sunflower extract, all of these are going to have some benefit for hyperpigmentation as well. All of this to say, realistically, there isn't a suggested routine solely for hyperpigmentation. Either routine is going to have a variety of products and ingredients within those products that have ingredients to not only brighten the skin, but to reduce dark spots that have already occurred. It mainly depends on what your skin type is, the degree of severity of your hyperpigmentation, and ultimately the desired effect you want with your products. If you're wanting to see a complete removal of the hyperpigmentation of melasma, it might also benefit to have a dermatologist or esthetician's opinion. But with our key products and with our gentler approach, either line is going to address hyperpigmentation. It solely depends on if you have sensitive skin and you're restricted to the dermatology, or perhaps even if you have oily skin, you also should go to the dermatology line. But if you have dry skin, combo, normal, or mature skin, Radiant Sun 100 is typically what I suggest for really getting into the hyperpigmentation with those nanoliposomes. Right. All right, another question we actually got at the end of the last session, and I wanted to include it here because I just began talking and I like to talk kind of around in circles sometimes, so I wanted to make sure that we got a concrete answer for this question. So, is purging possible with the skincare products? As I had mentioned, purging is a side effect of starting a new skincare product or routine in which skin cell turnover rate is sped up. And this brings up pre-existing blockages, comedones, even pustules that were beneath the surface and now are up at the top of the surface because of that increase in skin cell turnover. It is most often associated with harsher actives, harsher, things like retinoids or acids, because it often is going to cause what's called retinol burn, which you have that quick increase in your skin cell turnover, and oftentimes it causes a little bit of inflammation or redness, and of course some breakouts as well. But what's key is that those breakouts were pre-existing within the skin or otherwise were points of sensitivity or inflammation that are brought to the surface with the sudden use of these ingredients. With Riman specifically, because of our approach being more gentle in nature, purging is not necessarily impossible with our products, but it's not as likely because we are using gentler ingredients. And as I had mentioned, instead, what we like to suggest is skin training, and which you stay consistent with a specific routine until the benefits of that routine show through. If you have a specific routine before Riman, perhaps it's only a couple of products, suddenly bringing in 6 or 7 products can literally be overwhelming to the skin, and your skin will need a period of adjustment or acclimation. But with that in mind, if you have any unsavory side effects, you have itching, you have burning or stinging, extreme breakouts, or even smaller comedones, this might be a suggestion that you either are not following the right routine for you, you're misusing a product, or perhaps you have an ingredient allergy. And so that's when I recommend y'all email me, whether it is yourself or a customer or planner on your team, so that we can decide what the next steps for them are. For example, say they do have sensitive skin and they started with the Radiant Sun 100 line. The easy switch would be to get them on the dermatology routine because it has less oil-rich ingredients, it's going to be less comedogenic, etc. And so in having any moment of adverse reaction to the products, it's not always necessarily a bad thing. It's just a moment to reevaluate and see how we can modulate the routine to find the right remount ritual for you. Right? So we just have 3 more questions left. I'll go through them quickly, but for question 8, another question I get quite often, this one was from Yazamin Aziz, and it's, are Riman products pregnancy safe? And so this is a fantastic question. I know many individuals in the field are either breastfeeding, recently pregnant, still pregnant, whatever it may be. And so while we purposely avoid toxic ingredients, Pregnant peoples and breastfeeding individuals have unique skin environments based on the hormonal influence of their pregnancy or of their breastfeeding. And so, an ingredient that's otherwise, typically friendly for the skin, something like salicylic acid, for example, is traditionally advised against for pregnant women. As the Riman products were created for and then tested on normal skin types, by no means are, any other of these instances not normal, but on people who are not breastfeeding and not pregnant, the consideration of these unique platforms was not taken in. And so we must recommend, of course, consultation with a practicing medical professional for confidence in use. Now, I personally have reviewed our ingredients, and I've also reviewed the ingredients traditionally avoided by pregnant or breastfeeding individuals. And so that's things, of course, like retinoids, AHAs and BHAs, formaldehyde and formaldehyde donors, parabens, hydroquinone, and some chemical sunscreen filters. And so, of course, outside of our aqua protection sunscreen, which has chemical filters, we do not have retinoids, we do not have formaldehyde, parabens, or hydroquinone. We have salicylic acid just in the body wash, and that's at 0.5%. So in the overall review of both these ingredients to avoid in our products, I have not seen many adverse points of view for those utilizing Riman who are pregnant and breastfeeding. But I always insist that they do consult with a practicing medical professional because ultimately it is their opinion that I respect, and I want the healthiest opportunities for both baby and mom. So hope that answered your question, Yasmin. All right, so she also asked, can Rimmon products be used in conjunction with other skincare lines? I think this is a fantastic question because a lot of people in their determination of if they want to fully commit to Rimmon sometimes have favorites. They have a specific serum that they loved and used for use, or this cream, they gotta have it, they gotta use it daily. And so realistically, the Rimmon products were designed to be utilized in a closed system, if that makes sense. So they are meant to complement each other and to be all your skin needs. In incorporating products from outside brands, we cannot determine if there will be any product interactions or ingredient interactions that could be detrimental to the skin. Furthermore, were there any problems to occur on the skin, it would be difficult to troubleshoot from my position specifically because we do not know if it's Rimmon causing it, the other products causing it, or the combination of those two products causing it. So while yes, they can be used together, it's at the individual's discretion, and I strongly, strongly recommend complete commitment to the Rimmon products for your skincare routine. All right, and last but not least, another question that I get asked quite often, so I popped it in here and it kind of comes in line with question 9, but can I specifically use retinol with Rimmon? So many of you, I'm sure, understand the power of retinol. Retinol is an extremely useful ingredient for especially mature skin or acne prone skin. But as I'd mentioned, much of its activity is involved in an increased skin cell turnover rate. And this often comes at the compromise of your skin barrier or your skin comfort, as seen with retinol burn. So if someone has just recently incorporated retinol into their routine and their skin is vulnerable, not yet adjusted to the incorporation of retinol, it is difficult to directly recommend the utilization of retinol with Rimmon products. And of course, they can explore at their own discretion, but I would advise ceasing use of the retinol to see if you can get the activities you're wanting from the Rimmon products specifically. And so with that in mind, if someone is committed to using the retinol, they only use it a couple times a week, and they can fit it into an entirely Rimmon routine. I typically recommend, if they have to do it with the dermatology routine otherwise, the signature or essential Rimmon ritual, because those are our more sensitive skin-friendly ingredients. They're going to reduce some inflammation with that giant young pool and the Jeju Lava energy water. So I'm not saying use it, but I'm saying if someone is committed to using their retinol, then try to utilize our more sensitive skin or a more gentle line between the two offerings. With that also in mind, if someone is open to foregoing their retinol and just looking for the activities of the retinol, we have many different ingredients within our own products that apply similar benefit to the skin. And so there are many caveats to retinol, and it's always one of the ingredients I refer to when I'm talking about the K-beauty formulation technique of proactive protection and prevention, reduction of harsh ingredients for the preference of gentler ingredients. But retinol, of course, increases that skin cell turnover that often reduces hyperpigmentation and often reduces acne production. As we had seen in quite a few questions previous, we have many different ingredients that reduce hyperpigmentation on their own right, with our patented giant byung pul being a profound ingredient in that category. But the NMN, niacinamide, Vita complex, RK snowflake, sea berry, vitamin C directly, whatever it may be, there are a variety of different hyperpigmentation and brightening ingredients we have in our products that don't come with the caveat and use restrictions of retinol specifically and of reducing your skin barrier comfort. But then in terms of, for example, the reduction in fine lines and wrinkles or the reduction in acne lesions, we of course have a variety of ingredients that support the structural integrity of your skin, like collagen near, also like giant byung pul, also NMN as well, ergothioneine and carnosine in the dermatology cream, anti-inflammatory activity specific to acne application. Again, giant byung pul also has activity in that category. So realistically, if it's in an individual that is just using retinol because they feel they should, educating them on the different ingredients, the different performances those ingredients can bring with a gentler nature is always useful in committing someone specifically to an entire Riman routine. Because as I had stated previously, for you to see the best results and to see the efficacy that we saw in our performance testing, we do recommend a full commitment to Riman products specifically. That is all we have for our Q&A today. As I had mentioned, many fantastic questions, many fantastic emails from you all. So we are off tomorrow in respect of Juneteenth, but as soon as I get back into office on Friday and Monday, I will be answering all those questions that did not get answered verbally here. But please still send in your questions. I still want to converse. I want to understand your ingredient inquiries or your product desires as well. But next session, of course, is our last session, and it is a beautiful finish to all the things we've learned. It's the Riman ritual, why skincare should always be self-care. And so next week's discussion is quite short. It roughly is about 8 to 10 minutes, but then afterwards, we'll have the final exam. And no pressure, you don't need to study all this weekend for the final exam. It's a short 9-minute quiz, interactive. You get to sign up via a QR code. So if you're someone that traditionally does other things during these calls, you might want to be sitting in front of your computer screen for this one because there are some prizes for our top 3 winners. So as per usual, I so appreciate you all today and your time and your attention. I believe that these questions that you have asked just show the beauty behind curiosity. And it also shows your intention with the products. You're wanting to get to know them more. And so I'm so appreciative that you gave me the power to answer some of these questions. I hope I did right by you. And please feel free to email me if you have any follow-up questions from this call today. But without further ado, I will talk to you all next week for our last session. Have a fantastic Wednesday tonight. See you then.